We're basically going to run through a very brief detail how you can optimize a small space for your mobile live stream. So first things first, really important to tidy your room. Make sure it is absolutely not distracting, and you could be seeing things like stickers on the walls, you might see some things on my shelves, things that might distract you but hopefully aren't too distracting as to be irrelevant to the stream. You can see that I've positioned my camera within a corner view, so I've got two angles. I've got an angle going over my right hand side, and I've got an angled shelving unit, so hopefully it gives a sense of perspective. So positioning is really important when considering your space. You'll be surprised how simple it is to light your stream, and I'm going to be giving you some tips to get started with those, leading up to some more complicated versions as well. You can also use your newer devices. You can use wide angle lenses. Most of the newer devices do come with wide angle lenses, but for the older devices you can get an attachment which you can use to make a small space look really broad, and you'll get more in your view and such like as well. And then lastly, place any personality items. So those are items that might give a sense of place, a sense of who you are, a sense of your identity. Could be a cuddly toy, could be a mascot, could be a logo. I've got a range of different lights that I use in the evenings when it's not quite as light, and also in the winter time you want to really get a space that's going to be seasonality wise. You're going to have a seasonal space that never really changes no matter what the lighting situation is. When you're using your face, it's really important that the subject of your video is at least 2/3 of the way up on the video, right in the middle. So if you were imagining a grid, say split into 9, and again I will be sharing some resources on the YouTube channel in the coming weeks. So imagine that your eye level has got to be within 2/3 of the upper level of the video, either in the middle, or if you're going to be sharing some on-screen assets, you could be sitting to either one side or the other side, just to give the audience a sense of something you're going to be bringing up. Because this is the other thing you can do, overlays and titles could get in the way, and you don't want any overlays or titles to get in the way of your face. So here's an example of an overlay or title which I pre-made before. Again, the subject is always going to be within either that top or that middle area for people to demonstrate on as well. So in terms of framing, you obviously can move to one side, have nothing that's obtrusive behind your desk. So for example, if you were using a space that was a bit more open, have an angle, have nothing's behind your desk, or something that is behind your desk relevant to what it is that you're doing. So again, position your camera eye level, integral, and intentional with your angles if you're using multiple views. So multiple views, for example, if I was to showcase, a multiple view situation, I could say, I'm going to be talking to you today about how to do something with the keyboard or whatever. Then be intentional with those views, something that's not going to take away, so that people know that when they look at you, they can see your face. But when you want to direct them to a particular view, you can then do that and then direct them to that particular view. So that's really important when you are using your ability to change your angles and also keep that momentum going as well. So the next up is audio. When you're dealing with audio, obviously you can hear my creaky chair. Very important you don't have anything that's too distracting. You can have different ways you could cut out the audio. So you can have different ways that you can then cut out your microphone sounds, any tapping, rubbing of your legs, things that might distract. And so there are different ways you can do that depending on what your environment is. I'll share with you an example of how you can route audio as well, which I'll be doing very shortly, so keep watching for that. Now the audio is going to be more important than the video. The video is always going to be a key aspect, because the good video that you have, that obviously helps to engage, but you can have a really low quality video, but as long as you have good high quality audio, then you're going to be engaging for your audience. So the audience can forgive you having poor quality video, but as long as the audio sounds good, then that's what's important, and hopefully the audio sounds good for you today as well. You can just see that I have just got myself and a very simple mic. It's on a tripod, and that has been plugged into a simple mixer, which you might see on my right. And then that routes into the iPad. I don't know if you can see, this routes in via USB via the iPad's USB camera connection kit, and that gives you stereo audio. And not only that, but allows me to filter other audio into that mixer as well. So I could be playing something, I could be showing you something, I could be, any multimedia possible. I could even trigger sound effects just with the touch of my button as well, so I can just simply show you that. Orchestral tuning up sound. So audio can come from lots of different sources, either your mixer, or you can preload it onto your device to trigger with one tap as well. So this is a really good, useful benefit rather than having lots of bulky equipment that will cause you lots and lots of aggro, having to key press here, do another key press there, hopefully action some sounds, hopefully change some scenes. A case of keeping your workflow as simple as possible, and audio is no exception. So basically use as good a mix as you can afford. The better the mix, the better the way you can obviously make your audio sound good, the better it will be. But to be honest, most modern iOS devices have got really exceptional microphones on there. So just use what you have and run with it. As I've already shown you, it can be connected through a USB camera connection kit, a mixer, and there are many options to suit all budgets. So let's have a look at what one of these options could be. So if I just show you a very simple graphic here, now don't get overwhelmed because this is not an over-the-top situation. This is just a description where you can see on the left-hand side, this kind of gives you what kind of options have you got available to yourself. This is really all about what can you use you already have to make a good sound. Now, if you don't have any of these, it doesn't matter because the main audio that will be taken from the main camera device that you use. So for example, if it's a phone, the audio from the microphone of that phone will be your main audio. But if you're routing it through a mixer, just like in that example I've just shown you, then it will be something you can then really tweak and really make sound amazing and amazingly good as well. So lighting, very important that you use 3-point lighting. Now what do I mean by 3-point lighting? Basically it's using 3 different locations for different lights to serve different purposes. You've got your subject in the middle, you've got a main light that's facing you. It could be natural light, could be a window light, could be a small light, could even be the light from your mobile device which you can control remotely and then switch that on and off. So if you're in a darker room, you use your phone's torch, allow you to switch that on and off. Very, very handy. You've also got just to your left, you would also have a key light. I have a key light that's quite high up in this room. You'll probably be aware of light that's coming down from here. You'll probably see in my glasses a distraction in itself. Some light coming from down here and a light coming from in front of me as well. Some content creators use something called a ring light, and that basically allows them to, utilize a main light, especially for doing close-up shots like makeup and stuff like that. So you've got fill light, which is usually above, and that then also is a key light as well, which basically allows you to take off any shadows that are behind you. And then behind you there's normally a hair light. Now in my setup here, because I got the long view of the very small room, there's very little need for a hair light. But if I did, and obviously because I don't have any hair, if I did need a hair light just to give us a bit of a nice kind of offset feature on top of the head and just behind, just to take away any of the shadows behind you, then a hair light is really useful for doing that as well. When I use a hair light, sadly, it tends to reflect off my forehead, so I don't tend to use hair lights. And that is your basic 3-point lighting setup. Using soft lights as your key or main light, so in other words a photo light. So I've talked about above, using daylight balanced bulbs. So if you've got a photo light, which you can get relatively inexpensively, in the coming days I will be sharing some equipment lists that you can then consider if you want to set up a simple studio setup for yourself. Soft lights being important to kind of give you more of a general lighting. If you're using harsh light, for example, it will probably just make and overexpose what I'm doing, completely obliterate any other light that's around about, and cause the camera a little bit of confusion. That's us back to the 3-point lighting that I mentioned as well. Going back to our list then, place your lights at 45-degree angles to you. So in other words, don't have anything too in your face, otherwise it will kind of either obliterate your background or it will just kind of take out all the features of your face, whereas you want 45-degree angles to give a sense of shadow and depth and interest, so that people then find you more engaging as well. I've mentioned briefly already using colour to highlight the space, so I tend to use blues, purples and reds just to give different tones of warm and cold lighting at different times of the day and the night. Position your lights on stands. Lighting can come in various different forms. You can have desk clamp lights, you can have small portable lights you can position on shelves and things like that. You can use your torch of your mobile device, so you don't need to buy any extra equipment. You can just use what you already have, use your mobile phone's torch, and it will then give you a nice light. So you might have a really old device that has a torch that you might not think is a good video camera, but you might think will be a good lighting source. Use those, have it plugged into power, and then have a lot of good time with that. If you want to have a go at the app that I've been using to not only live stream but also show you lots of things like multiple views and get your audience engaged with lots of different interaction and lower thirds and all these sorts of things, then hit up that link on the screen. It's also in the description of the video down below. Make sure you go to bit.ly/GetSwitcherStudio and use the code Euan30 on sign up, and it will give you 30 days for free, which is more than enough time for you to be able to get used to the app and to experiment with all the features, and of course utilize my training. So if you want to apply for some training, I can help check that you are best fit. So if you've already got a live streaming idea or business, or if you're a coach or a tutor and you want to be able to get involved in using mobiles for live streaming and you have no idea where to start, or you just want to bulk up your training with a lot more knowledge, then have a look at this link as well, bit.ly/MLS free training, and you can fill in an application form which will answer some questions that I've got, and then we can then book a call and have a chat, and then we can talk about the training options for you as well. So thanks for joining me. Bye bye.